Okay, so after ER shifts, I normally just like stuff things in my pocket as like, the shift kind of goes on, because things are crazy. And after every shift, I kind of come home and sit here and open up my pocket. So let me introduce you to the NDMD store. So we got 6.5 ortho. Let's see what else here. Webroll, more Webroll for splints. My notebook, pen light, all the sterile flushes here. You want calipers to read EKGs? I got you. Just about 25 cc's of bupivacaine that I accidentally put in my pocket after lac repair. Lidocaine from a LP kit. Foam finger splint in case anybody breaks a finger. I can do that for you because I got the Webroll here too. Squished rolls of silk tape, not squished roll of silk tape. 30cc syringe, sure. 18 gauge angiocath, sure. Steri strips, also cool. What else I got in here? Trauma shears, N95, because who knows what's coming in. And then I think some needle drivers from a unused suture kit. So basically, like in an apocalyptic setting, I have enough materials here to sterilely suture you. Cool. So emergency medicine is all about shift work, which is equally a pro and a con in my opinion. You have 3 different kinds of shifts. Your morning that starts at 7 a.m., your evening that starts at 3 p.m., and then your night that starts at 11 p.m. Each of them go from 8 to 9 hours depending on how quickly you wrap up your workup for your patient. The shift work nature of things typically leads to people saying emergency medicine is more of a lifestyle specialty because, on paper, over 4 weeks, I only work 14 days, which is actually pretty typical for an emergency medicine attending lifestyle, which on paper, again, not bad. But man, does switching from the different shifts mess up your sleep schedule. Emergency medicine is a required specialty for my 4th year. I know a lot of schools put it in the 3rd year, so I just figured let me just go ahead and get it done and out of the way. But honestly, I've really enjoyed this. Probably a lot more than I was expecting, but definitely a field that personally I wouldn't go into. But also, fun fact, I kind of had my clinical origins in emergency medicine and specifically pediatric emergency medicine, which probably is half the reason why I really like this rotation, is because I got placed primarily on the pediatric side. I think I have done 9 pediatric shifts and 4 adult shifts. And just full circle moment, the pediatric ER that I volunteered in, shadowed in, and the attending that I worked under back when I was like 16, 17, I got to work under as a 4th year medical student, and it's so cool to just be in the same place, kind of expecting the same PIMP questions, the same sort of patient workflow, but then now at least kind of knowing what I'm doing. Feels nice. So used to arriving here before the sun comes up on my previous rotations that this honestly kind of feels weird here when there's sunlight. So there are 2 banned words in the emergency department, the Q word and the S word, because in the ED you never really know what to expect and things can go from 0 to 100 real quick. Patients and their chief complaints are put up on this big board, and I think this rotation gives you a lot more patient autonomy than any before, and I really found myself feeling like a doctor. Whether it's emergent imaging from the mobile radiology or labs, any other further workup, I was pretty much in charge of suggesting and helping to order all the workup, which is really cool. Of course, you'll see your classic fractures, your laceration repairs on the kid's side, and on the adult side, you'll see a lot of acute coronary syndrome and strokes. But to be honest, I really enjoyed working up the traumas and really found satisfaction in laceration repairs and pretty complex workups. I don't know, maybe I really enjoyed this more than I should have. something eerily peaceful about walking out of shifts at like midnight or, you know, whatever in the morning. I don't know. Is that weird? And story time. But I'll leave you with something a little educational because I'm practicing my laceration repairs. Let me show you a really fun and easy way to practice suturing when you're at home. Take a nice cylindrical water bottle, towel, wrap it like this, tight, but like with, you know, some tension of the opening. Take like a binder clip like this, attach to one end, attach to the other, and boom. Now you have a wide incision with some tension on each of the ends, and you can close it as you go. And always ask your attendings and residents for spare instruments to take home for your kit and practice. Even spare sutures or expired sutures, especially if you're on a surgery rotation, they will always offer these. So go for them. I'm gonna try this instructional ASMR style video. Let me know if you guys like it and I can do more of this. There's a sign right before you get to the pediatric side of the emergency department that says, "We want to be the best part of your worst day," which I guess makes sense for an emergency department, but I don't think I really understood what those words meant until two specific patient situations. First one was an accidental head trauma. It was a kid no older than 13 years old being wheeled into the emergency department by the ambulance or EMS for a mountain biking accident. He wasn't wearing a helmet. Wear your helmets, kids, and went over the handlebars. He barely knew where he was uneasy on his feet, and kept repeating things over and over again. For any traumas brought in by EMS, they get taken straight to one of the trauma rooms, and we start our primary and secondary survey, which primary is your ABCs, and then your secondary is kind of your head to toe, where you see people cutting off their clothes, and we're making sure we're not missing any sort of open wounds, active bleeding, anything like that. And as a medical student, you're always looking for ways to help. However, sometimes it's in ways that doesn't involve turning the patient or grabbing gloves and getting ready to intubate. As they're rushing the kid into the trauma room, of course, mom is following behind, obviously upset, and nobody was really talking to her, nobody was really updating. We're taking her son into a trauma room with a ton of craziness and heckiness going on, lots of loud noises, lots of scary words, and again, mom is freaking out. And I had a choice: either grab gloves, run into the room, help with the primary and secondary survey, aka stay in the corner and be minimally helpful, or B, sit down with mom, keep her informed, and make sure that she's also okay. Because in the pediatric side, there's two patients, the child and the parents. I quickly pulled up a seat, introduced myself. "Hey, my name is Andy. I'm the senior medical student on the team." Reassured her, "We're taking really good care of your son in the room here. I know things are very crazy. We're here to help, so I want to know what you know, if he has any other medical conditions, what medications he's on, allergies, etc." Not just that, but reassure her again that we are taking good care of her son, but also putting a face and an explanation to a lot of the chaos that is going around. By the end of it, I was able to offer her a cup of ice water. We got on a first name basis, and I was able to help my team by collecting the entire history of the patient, so that we knew exactly what to do after the primary and secondary survey was over, but also bring emotional comfort to a very scary situation for the mom when nobody else was really paying her any attention. Second story is also an accidental head trauma, but he just tripped and fell and hit his head on a concrete sidewalk. Was okay for 2 days and then started presenting with concussive symptoms like somnolence, headache, sensitivity to light, etc. Mom took him to urgent care, and urgent care, of course, said go to the peds emergency department to get a head CT, because everybody needs head CTs. That's a joke, by the way. Now, we see a lot of accidental head traumas. In fact, I had a shift that was literally all I saw. And there's something called the PECARN score that risk stratifies them. Because we see so much of it, the nurses from triage to back in the ER, the residents, and myself have a pretty good idea of who is an emergent case and who is not. However, a concerned parent does not know what is an emergent case and what is not. But that also doesn't make their concern any less valid. Apparently, she had some unpleasant encounters within the triage section that by the time she was taken back and I walked into the room, she was, of course, visibly upset and frustrated, to the point when I introduced myself and began taking my history, it was only met with a stern glare and a lot of questioning. Who are you? How old are you? Do you know what you're doing? All things I've gotten basically my entire life. But I quickly learned after just even a few minutes of conversation that this was a case of somebody not being heard and concerns being dismissed by those around her that she depended on to seek help from. And even though the visit took 45 minutes in total, all it took was telling mom, hey, your concerns are valid. You did the right thing by taking him to the emergency department. These are the things we look for to do a head CT and why we do not believe that this is the case for your son. All while doing a thorough workup to make sure that he's not presenting with any sort of emergency symptoms. Is this anything different than the standard of care? No, but this was a great example of people neglecting the lost art of listening in medicine and how medical students can take more time than the residents and the attendings to explain the pathology, explain the differential in a way that comforts and educates the patient and the parents. And I remember the words that broke that kind of veil of distrust, which was, I'm sorry that all of the front office stuff has happened, but my job here is to assess your son and to make sure he's okay. And we all are here to make sure your son's okay. And that all stems from, I hear you, I understand, and I'm here to help. Talking while suturing is hard. Now, neither of these stories are particularly groundbreaking. I didn't do anything special, and in fact, I didn't do anything that probably any other medical student wouldn't have done. I didn't save a life. The story is not supposed to make me a hero or anything, but it's supposed to point out one big key thing that stands the test of time no matter how much education you have. And it also reminds me of something my mentor told me years ago that is also now fresh on my mind because of ERAS and the residency application process, which is basically like a job. She told me there are 3 C's of employment when you are looking to hire somebody. They are first, competency, second, chemistry, and third, character. Competency being how well do you know how to do your job and your knowledge. Chemistry meaning how well you work with the team and how well you get along with everybody currently in your working environment. And lastly, character, which I guess is pretty self-explanatory. And the reason why I bring this up is that I specifically remember her telling me that if you are going to compromise on any of these, compromise on competency and chemistry, because you can teach competency and you can build chemistry, but you cannot create or teach character. And I think in medical school where, there's so much value put into the competency aspect of things, and even on your clinical rotations when you're so focused on trying to be part of the team for your clinical evaluations, that you really forget to let character shine through. Because for both of the situations that I told you about, that took minimal clinical knowledge. It takes patience, emotional intelligence, communication, and the art of listening and empathy. All things that everybody in medical school has in them. It's in the tool bag. But especially on my 4th year, I'm realizing how often we are trained to forget to use that tool. And I have no idea who those people are, and I'm fairly sure they're never gonna remember my name, I'm never gonna see them again. Yet I know without a doubt that taking that little bit of extra time and that extra energy made
the world and a very, very stressful night and situation for an entire family just a little bit more manageable. And even if they don't remember my name or don't care about who I am, years from now, I can still go to sleep and rest very, very easy. But yeah, emergency medicine, it's fun.